Hello all, welcome to the Lunar Sea Spire Cartoon Fan Podcast. This is episode 327, and today we'll be talking about the Puddle and the King episodes of Summer Camp Island. I'm GC13.
And I'm David.
So, we continue with more Summer Camp Island. No song numbers in these episodes, though, but a much happier batch this time, I think.
No tragic backstories, and an exploration of love that, we sort of discussed in the last batch of 4 episodes, that Susie and Ramona's relationship went into what looked almost like romantic territory and just how deep their relationship was, but now we're in explicitly romantic territory with the King and Puddle, and I think that this sort of supports the ideas I was having last time, and I actually went back and was reading some Julia Potts interview when she was talking about sort of the pilot and then transitioning to the actual show, where they used to have Hedgehog being crushed on.
Yeah, that love triangle.
Right, and then they kind of decided, no, we can do a story where the lead characters are just friends. And so, like we said, that's sort of also Susie and Ramona's path, but we get stuff that I haven't seen before in kids' cartoons here, as far as, especially in the first episode, how the King and Puddle talk about their attraction to each other. And so often in kids' cartoons, if we experience a character's attraction, it's purely in terms of, it's usually either unrequited or it's, at a distance. They're not actually together. So I think Helga's long soliloquies in Hey Arnold, or Timmy Turner, big heart's eyes, and, it's very visual for Trixie Tang, but you don't actually see a relationship where they just both like each other, or they're both married, and they express things to each other that a romantic couple would. You get that in, Reunited in Steven Universe, when we finally have Ruby and Sapphire's wedding, but Ruby and Sapphire they're very lovey-dovey, they can be gooey to each other, besides all their conflict, but the Puddle and King experience these, little relationship moments. They experience, being on the bridge, and the King realizes that he's attracted to learning new things about his partner. I just found that really sweet and surprisingly new. So, there's my rant on that.
We were talking about Adventure Time last week, what with all of the retconning that they were doing, and this one got me back with the Adventure Time of the characters explicitly stating their feelings, and the scenes seemed random, but, I like it.
Right, it comes out of nowhere that they're on a bridge, and also they still throw in jokes because Puddle's asking, "Oh, are you crying because it looked like I got rope bits in my eye? Is that why you're crying?" And King's like, "No, it's because I'm attracted to you." And it's just great, and the scenes are just spliced together in an interesting way. Also, speaking of Adventure Time, I tried researching. I was looking at the background art again and thinking, surely there is some shared DNA or some shared people between the background artists in Adventure Time and in Summer Camp Island, but I have yet to find any link. 2 of the artists I found are just exclusively background artists for Summer Camp Island. So it's amazing how many parallels there are. And even Julia Potts herself worked on season 9 and 10 of Adventure Time, but not what I think of as the more core Adventure Time earlier seasons 3 and 4. So it's just funny how much they share compared to any other show on Cartoon Network.
I mean, Adventure Time's kind of a big deal at Cartoon Network. If you're gonna take some inspiration, Adventure Time would be a pretty good place to go.
Well, I think for people who were fans of the style, Steven Universe gave you a story that developed in a similar way, as far as that slow burn that then ramps into something interesting, but then also still includes a bunch of, quote-unquote filler episodes later. There's that kind of shared DNA, but Summer Camp Island's just so much more. It feels like a continuation of the vision, except much cuter. And I mean, it's definitely its own thing, but, we're getting, heck, just look at what the show's centered around. It's centered around a friendship, a duo. And I also found it great that these 3 episodes are not quite about Puddle and the King, even though that's how it's titled.
Well, it all comes together about them at the end there.
Right, but it does feature a lot of Hedgehog and Oscar.
Oh yeah, I liked Hedgehog being completely aware of her friendship with Oscar, and just him ruining everything is just the price of admission. But
That was so brutal that she described basically Oscar himself at the price of admission. Like, Oscar, you are just so inherently foolish. And Oscar, man, he took it like a champ. I mean, he held it down as what did he call himself? Was he the secretary?
Thick-skinned prime minister.
The prime minister. That's what it was. Yeah.
And I love how she knows that he's not taking it well, so she apologizes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those like very real moments. We've talked about how the dialogue in the show is very forthright sometimes. And this was just really an expansion on the whole Hedgehog's peanut butter jelly sandwich scene.
Yeah.
But this time, Oscar doesn't prove himself a changed man at all because after scratching his crayon pencil against that poor animal, it turns out he had film in his pocket the whole time. I'm going to assume that he didn't know that was there, though. Or do you think that he did and he was just looking for an opportunity to do a rubbing drawing?
Yeah, we have the interpretation of Oscar as chaotic neutral, genuinely forgetting, or Oscar chaotic evil, hiding the film in his pocket so that he can cause some chaos.
There is a part of me that thinks that he knew there was film there and he was looking for the opportunity because of how silly he is.
He, quote-unquote, went to the bathroom as soon as the king started showing his waterfall slides, so, I mean, again, maybe he couldn't hold it, maybe he just decided it was time.
Again,
Neutral or evil.
Look at the peanut butter jelly incident. It was very clear to Hedgehog that the only destiny of Oscar's body's trajectory was into that sandwich. And Oscar seemed to realize that he was clumsy and would land in the sandwich, but he wanted to do what he wanted to do. I think he might have done what he wanted to do.
Again, it's very Kung Fu Panda. They met their destiny on the path they took to avoid it. Very Kung Fu Panda. So, I mean, we have to, I think I want to get to the ending of this really quick. We end up with a huge cliffhanger. What happened to Jonathan?
Okay, so that's like, if there's 3 relationships examined, I think very minorly, it's Susie and Jonathan thrown in at the end. I don't know why we had to.
I mean, Jonathan's super into her.
As a follow-up to the Susie and Ramona arc, it is very depressing that we see Susie trying to fill not just a role for friendship, but a role for romance in her life. I'm not sure. The weird part of the joke is that she is committed to it not being like a weird thing. Like,
It's Susie. She does what she wants.
So here's what this is my interpretation. She genuinely thinks that she has pulled off Jonathan looking like a living, breathing person. So when she's talking about Jonathan to Susie and Hedgehog, she expects that they believe he's real. When it's not. I mean, clearly he's not. And no one thinks that. But I don't think she was it wasn't as a joke. Like, he was completely serious, and she probably thought she was pulling the ruse. But I just like how unsaid it is. And it's great.
You say that Jonathan isn't real, and she just thinks she's pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. But if he's not real, then why did he get up and leave?
I know. I should remember Bubble Buddy more often. Never underestimate the personhood of inanimate friends.
So what you're saying is that he saw all the sugar to salt conversion and he thought things were getting a little weird around there.
Right, and floated off. By the way, that episode of SpongeBob was so great, there is apparently a sequel. I don't think I've ever watched the sequel, but it blew my mind that there was a sequel, like that any episode had a continuation in SpongeBob.
Yeah, Bubble Buddy, knowing SpongeBob as well as he does, sends his son to be babysat by SpongeBob because, that's what I would do if I knew SpongeBob.
So maybe in
definitely trust him.
In great reverence to SpongeBob, Jonathan's son will come back and be dating one of the campers. We'll see.
Maybe. I'm very pleased that the swan census went as well as it did. I was afraid that would be a whole thing.
I'm glad that BMO or whatever
that
strawberry person's name was
Shortcake.
able to bring themselves to the realization that they could do their job. I think it was only, one fluke with their inability to, convince the king that they could do things. They could command people.
If all you need to do is take the swan census, why do you need to be able to tell people what to do? Like, shouldn't he have tested him on his photography skills and his swan speaking ability?
Right.
Which, he would have got the job if the king had just tested him correctly.
I thought that the little story was great, but also it's great that the lives of these creatures are so trivial on this planet. They're working in the strawberry mines and maybe they find a job, but it all doesn't really go anywhere, which is great, which is also how I felt about, well, actually it does go somewhere with our episode 2, the little jesters.
The floorboard jesters, yeah.
Because they do come together as a family at the end, but it's hilarious how they roped themselves into their own situation and the king was pretty neutral, didn't care at all.
Yeah, that one was another random one. It's like, okay, you guys go back home. And then the hedgehog's like, actually, they don't want to. And the king's like, oh, okay, they don't have to.
Right, Summer Camp Island. Anyway. Summer Camp Island had, at least in that episode, nothing to say about royalty. No, there's nothing bad to say there. Maybe in episode 3, maybe.
They teased the king as a tyrant, but they saved that one for the 3rd episode.
But before we get there, so, first of all, just random notes. I do like that Oscar has solidified what his status with Susie is, as she is his favorite best frenemy. Worst favorite best frenemy. It's a good clarification. It reminded me of after Finn learns about Simon, and then he calls him Simon much more. I'm interested to see how their relationship has changed. Hedgehog and Oscar's relationship has changed with Susie, if it will at all, in the future. Especially since, much like the Ice King, Susie doesn't know that they know about her past. So, it'll be interesting.
I mean, I'm still not convinced that the story Jim Jams gave them was 100% accurate.
I don't think it's as bad as Garnet's retelling of Rose Quartz, though. I mean, maybe there could be some details messed up, but I don't know. I trust Jim Jams as a reliable narrator.
Okay, to be fair to Garnet, that was the story as the Crystal Gems always told it. If you had stopped any Crystal Gem during the rebellion, that would have been the story they would have told you.
Well, and Jim Jams was an eyewitness for a lot of it. I guess some of it would have had to have been told to him by either Ramona or Susie. And I'm guessing Susie wouldn't have story told much.
We got the background detail in the 3rd episode of the Susie Ramona arc that the aliens were already building the camper cabins, but they didn't even get the idea to build a summer camp until much, much later.
Yeah, what is it about the space-age cabins? So, okay, we learned that in the 3rd episode about this salt taffy agreement that Susie has had ongoing for quite a while with this kingdom, because she asked them to build cabins. We've never seen anything about the cabins that are special, right?
Well, the aliens have special they have alien bunk beds in them, just in case they need to chill there.
It's just a little thing they've slipped in there that, eventually we're going to get some episode where all these houses go and fly somewhere, or I don't even know what. I have no idea how it could contribute to the mission of magic. But yeah, like you said, they came up with the plan to do a summer camp really quickly. Or they executed on it very quickly.
Yeah.
Once they decided that they were going to do it, they just started inviting kids. So there really wouldn't have been a lot of time. Susie would have already had to know about the aliens. Apparently, she doesn't need a car. She can just point her finger into the distance and start walking and zoom between these planets in seconds. So maybe she did that and, already knowing about them and their propensity to like salt and sugar, convince them to do a thing. But it's very weird.
Yeah, so I don't know. On the one hand, I would think that we should time the building of the cabins to after they knew they would need cabins. But on the other hand, they literally showed us the cabins being built decades before they knew there was going to be a summer camp. So, I mean, Susie has shown good business sense in previous episodes. So I cannot imagine that she would be paying interest on something she had no need for that long.
You know,
I just don't know.
I wasn't believing the word retcon last week, but now I'm feeling a little bit of that Adventure Time retcon whiplash of trying to piece together things that don't make sense together.
The only thing I can think is, like, maybe there's some backstory element that they've yet to reveal, but something else that would also make sense is they needed to explain the aliens building the cabins, but they realized when they were looking at their episode 4 script that they liked what the script looked like, but they also had no time for the aliens to construct the cabins, so they had to put that in the background in a previous episode.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, all the shows that you just wish you could have been there at the writers' meetings for.
Definitely. Especially for this concept of the jesters being in the floorboards, which we kind of get hinted, what the spark for that idea was in the writer's room, because Hedgehog, I guess it's Oscar, says, I always thought the squeaking in the floorboards was just loose floorboards. And Hedgehog says, nope, jesters. I thought that was adorable.
I love me a Just So's story.
Yeah, I like that they came up with the idea of, it just seemed that that's what it was. Why do floorboards squeak? It's because jesters are hiding there, and they fit it into this story about, into this context of that they are there because of the king specifically. Not, this story probably could have just as easily taken place inside the cabins or anywhere else on the island, but I do like the little designs, though, that they were able to pull off with these. Are they dogs? I don't know what they are, but these dogs with the little clown makeup on.
They bear a resemblance to kind of almost like the Gremlins from the movie series. But yeah, I think they're mostly dog-like more than anything else.
I mean, a lot of the animals in Summer Camp Island remain ambiguous to me because they don't, just look at the witches. Kind of cats. I mean, they have cat ears, but no tail.
Susie's a cat, and Alice is an elephant, and Betsy is a horse. We see her in her werewolf form.
You're right.
And she has much more horse-like characteristics in her werewolf form.
I forget that elephants also don't have to have, trunks in this show. Big trunks.
Only if they're going swimming.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Oh!
I gotcha!
You got me.
Which episode of this batch would you say you liked the best?
I like the ridiculousness of the second the most. I don't know if that meant it was the most minute-to-minute entertaining. Them going around and trying to collect this story that ultimately was a very small story. They had to go to every jester and ask, what happened in your room? And so all they have are, they walked in and then walked out, or they just walked past me. That was great in concept. So between the jesters and the way that the story's pieced together, and then the way that family unites, I think is great. I probably like the first episode the most in what it did with attraction, and I like the BMO voice showing up again. I think the weirdest one to me was the direction of the salt thing, which ended up not having any symbolic significance or significance for the characters. It just happens that King...
It's world building.
But how much world building is it? I guess the salt taffy. The salt taffy we get at the very beginning, but the rest of it doesn't really matter, right? The fact that there's little salt virus things that can take over you.
Yeah, there's a plague of salt parasites out there, David. Just imagine what that does to the wider world.
Is the galaxy under the threat of salt? Is this a galactic threat we're being introduced? It doesn't harm magic.
Maybe this is a commentary on the creeping of salt into our processed food.
Yeah, I was about to say, is Jeezy about to say something dramatic about our culture, or is he just about to say that Americans eat too much sodium? Which, yeah, sure. We eat
both
too much
at the same time, baby.
But sugar is also a problem. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Variety is the spice of life. It's like Susie said. I mean, best counselor, obviously. For me, I think that the second one with the jesters was probably my favorite, but that salt one, the second half was good stuff. Very dramatic.
I'll say my favorite joke probably out of all of them was in that episode, because the concept of these aliens are they advanced or not? But Puddle gets asked, how do you cure viruses? You guys are advanced. Surely you figured this out. And they just proceed to tell the stupidest anecdote about how their grandmother's brain freeze was cured by putting her next to the fire. Okay.
Now, my favorite joke was also from that episode, but it was the mechanics breaking Susie's car and then turning their hats around.
Yeah, the way they flipped their hats around was amazing. Also, just like, is that chaotic evil? That's lawful evil, I guess. He had his mission, which is he's going to make everybody watch his slideshow presentation.
I mean, it's chaotic on the king's part, but it's lawful for them. I assume that they are lawful neutral, but the salt-infested king is being chaotic evil.
I did like that the slideshow, it wasn't clear to me if it was a testament to King's love or a testament to his selfish side, that just wants, attention.
Vacation slides are always selfish.
Yeah, I guess there's really no context in which you can do that.
I don't know how many vacation slide episodes you've seen, but in cartoons, people are never happy to watch them. It's always a self-indulgent exercise when somebody does that in a cartoon.
Wait, what is another example of a famous vacation slide cartoon episode? I feel like I'm missing out on this genre.
I can't remember the names of the episodes, but I know Garfield and Friends and Rugrats both had vacation slide episodes. The Rugrats one is famously the one where Boris makes a Dr. Kevorkian joke. He pulls out a phone and says, "Hello, Dr. Kevorkian." So he's not having a good time. I think it might have been a running gag in Garfield, actually. I know they had at least one joke about how nobody likes watching vacation slides.
I just feel like that's a specific experience that... Does that still exist? Do people take photos on their phones and then come back from vacation and then... Actually, you know what? No, that is an experience, because I've totally been... Well, I don't want to use the word subjected. I willingly
but
watched...
you were subjected.
But someone, had a friend, went on something, a cruise, something ocean-related, and had their phone out and was like, all right, we're going to scroll through all the photos on my vacation. But I consented to that one. Or even showed interest, which is, could be a dangerous thing.
Yeah, the vacation slides is like Space Camp. You don't see references to vacation slides or Space Camp in cartoons very often, so it was just very nice to see Space Camp come up in the Steven Universe movie.
Yeah.
Taking it back to the old school, baby. I'm just thinking of that little salt parasite thing as soon as Oscar talks about what a great planet they live on. And he decides, I'm going to go take over Oscar. And it's like, dude, you just were in the body of a king who could, with the snap of his fingers, turn this planet into a salty hellhole. What's Oscar going to do? Like, trip and fall until everything turns into salt?
Yeah, not the brightest salt in the salt shaker. Salt crystal in the...
Just say salt in the shaker. It's okay.
Yeah, that. Not the smartest sodium chloride in the... sodium chloride larger compound.
Susie's the one you want. She's the one with the magic and the boyfriend. Don't forget. He's missing, but...
If they in any way make Jonathan's reappearance a significant thing, I will deeply appreciate that.
You watch. Just next time they go into Susie's cabin, he's just going to be sitting there.
Menacingly.
Maybe they can make it like... Yeah, maybe they can make it like they were making out. Susie be like, "What? Go away, I'm busy." Or she would say "we're."
She could easily have enchanted Jonathan, right? Like, almost anything comes alive on Summer Camp Island. The fact that there is an inanimate thing is the great part.
I mean, again, you assume Jonathan is inanimate, but, like, Summer Camp Island is not the place you go to for inanimate things. So, clearly,
Absolutely.
Jonathan's animate.
So there you go. We have our sci-fi space trilogy, and one more, I guess. I didn't realize we were getting these clumps of episodes. When Susie and Ramona happened, I thought, oh, okay, this is a 4-part special, but we got this, and then I guess next week we get one more trilogy of episodes? Is that right, or are we just going back to normal airings?
I think it's a quintology, or whatever your preferred 5 is. Pentology?
We're getting 5 episodes together?
Yeah, according to the HBO Max press release.
Holy crap. Is that also the conclusion of season 3, or is that just the midpoint?
Well, we only know about 12 episodes so far, so it's either the end of season 3 or they have 2 more arcs planned and ready to go that they haven't hinted at. I mean, I hope that they stick with a multiple of 20 for the season length.
Yeah, I find this approach interesting, especially like this trilogy was only loosely connected. So part of it feels influenced by HBO Max, but at the same time, it's just another fun exploration of how you can do formats. Because when you're not doing 22-minute episodes, there's just so many things. You can do 8-part miniseries, you can do 5-part miniseries, or, why even set a specific episode length for yourself? Just keep doing whatever feels natural for the story. So
yeah, have a 3, a 4, a 5.
Except that's the thing. So like in Stephen Bombs or in the Adventure Time miniseries, they were more committed to like a single story, and that's definitely what the Ramona and Susie arc was. This was a very loose collection. Like it feels more like they had some ideas and they put them together.
I mean, they were connected by place.
Right, that's the thing. They decided, I guess, okay, we have a few adventure ideas that we have for, that planet. So I guess putting them next to each other makes more sense than having to have, Oscar and Hedgehog fly here 3 separate times. So I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, Susie has to drive them over, pick them up. It's just too much of a hassle. Get it all done at once. She's got a busy love life.
Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, that's been us on the King and Puddle episodes. Join us next week. We should have 5 more episodes of Summer Camp Island to talk about. Until then, I'm GC13.
And I'm David. Don't forget to leave us a review anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Later, everybody. Our opening and closing music is by Mark Soto. For more cartoon-related content, please visit lunarseaspire.com.